Good evening. Good evening to all the members of Ritambhara. I have come again to continue with my reading from the translations, English translations from Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana. The glory of Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana. I have read out yesterday from the description of Gokarna's liberation. That was in Discourse 5. Today I will start from Discourse 6, where we will come to know the procedure of hearing Srimad Bhagavata in a weak detail. So I will start right away. After this we will start from tomorrow onwards. I will start the Srimad Bhagavat Mahatmya will end here, and then the book 1 will start. So that will be from tomorrow onwards. I will read that. So let me begin with the procedure of hearing Srimad Bhagavata in a week. The Kumaras, they began to say, "Next we shall discourse to you in detail on the procedure of hearing Srimad Bhagavata in a week. The procedure has been declared as ordinarily observable with the help of associates and earthly possessions. To begin with, one should specially call an astrologer with due respect and inquire of him a propitious day and time. He should further set apart as much as wealth as is spent over a girl's wedding. The months of Bhadrapada, Ashvina, Kartika, Asada, Ashar, Magh and Shravan, these are actually corresponding to August, September, October, November, June and July. These are the months. These are harbingers of moksha for those commencing an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata during any of these months. Even in these months, O Narada, hours which are worth eschewing must be avoided under all circumstances. Nay, others too who are industrious should be enlisted as one's associates in this undertaking. Again, a message should be particularly sent to all places, saying that an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata is being arranged and that people should make it a point to attend with their families. Some people stand remote from the stories of Sri Hari as well as from the chanting of Sri Vishnu's names and praises. It should also be arranged that they may, as well as women and those belonging to the Shudra community and other such low-born people, may be apprised of the fact. Letters should be addressed everywhere only to the votaries by Lord Vishnu, who have renounced all worldly attachments and are keen on chanting the divine names and glories. The wording of the letter has been suggested, like for 7 consecutive days, an exceedingly rare congregation of pious men is expected to meet, and there will be an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata full of unprecedented charm. You too are requested to come soon in order to quaff the nectar of Srimad Bhagavata. Possessed as you are from an insatiate longing for such nectar, love being foremost in your mind. Even if perchance you have no time to spare, nonetheless, at all events, you must come at least for a day only. Even an instant on this occasion is most difficult to get. Invitation should be politely extended to them in these words, and one should keep ready places of abode for all those who come. The hearing of Srimad Bhagavata is commended at a place of pilgrimage or in a woodland or even at one's own residence. That site should be selected for the exposition where an extensive ground is available, removing the household effects. If it is arranged in your own house, one should keep them in a corner of the house, and the ground should be cleaned and swept, plastered with cow dung and clay, and decorated with paintings of minerals. 5 days in advance, one should get together with zeal coverings to be spread on the ground for the visitors to sit on, and a tall yet temporary shed should be erected on the ground and decked with stems of bananas. The shed should be roofed with an awning and decorated all around with green leaves, flowers, and fruits. Flags should be painted on all sides and adorned with decoration of various kinds. On a higher level, 7 spacious divisions should be made, one higher than the other, each representing one of the 7 spheres in which the universe stands divided. And Brahmanas, as well as those who have shaken off worldly attachments, should be seated there after due persuasion. First of all, seats should be arranged for them one after another, and one should get ready an excellent seat even for the exponent of Srimad Bhagavata. If the exponent is to sit facing the north, the chief listener should be in that case sit actually facing the east. And if the exponent is to facing the east, the listener should then sit facing the north. Or, if such arrangement is not possible, the space intervening the worshipful exponent and the worshipper should be considered to be the east. Such is the ruling given about the hearers by those possessing knowledge concerning the time and place, etc., of hearing of Srimad Bhagavata. A Brahmana who is a votary of Lord Vishnu has shaken off worldly attachments, who is capable of expounding the Vedas and other scriptures, is expert in giving illustrations to bring home a truth, is discerning and altogether free from cravings, should be selected as the exponent of Srimad Bhagavata. Those who are bewildered by the diverse courses of conduct, are fond of women, and preach heresies should be avoided as disqualified for an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata, even if they are learned. By the side of the exponent, by the way of helping him, should be installed another learned man of the same caliber, capable of resolving the doubts and intent on enlightening the public. In order to undertake the sacred vow of expounding Srimad Bhagavata, the prospective exponent should have his head and chin, etc., shaved on the eve of the day, when the exposition is to commence. Easing his nature at daybreak, he should take a bath, finishing with zeal his Sandhya prayers and other devotions in short form every day. He should particularly worship Lord Ganesha for warding off obstacles in the way of the exposition. Having duly gratified the mains through oblations of water, he should go through a course of expiatory rites for the sake of purification of his self, and should draw a mystical diagram and install it on Srihari in the form of an image or on the Shaligrama stone. He should then, with the chanting of mantras, offer to Sri Krishna these courses of worship, including pradakshina, that is salutation at the end of the worship address and prayer to him, and pray thus: rescue, O storehouse of compassion, from the ocean of mundane existence my wretched self, sunk in the ocean of metempsychosis, my body having been seized by the alligator in the shape of infatuation for action. Worship should be zealously offered next to due ceremony and love to Srimad Bhagavata, as well as by means of articles including incense and light. Holding a coconut, he should then duly offer salutation, and then with a cheerful mind alone the following prayer should be addressed. For here is Sri Krishna himself manifest under the name of Srimad Bhagavata. I have sought you, O Lord, for being rescued from the ocean of mundane existence. This aspiration of mine may be fulfilled by you in every way without impediment. As a matter of fact, I am your servant, O Krishna. Having addressed this piteous appeal to Lord Krishna in form of Srimad Bhagavata, he should next worship the exponent, and fully adorning him with apparel and jewels, should further extol him at the end of the worship as follows: O manifestation of Sukha, expert in enlightening others and well versed in the entire range of sacred lore, eradicate my ignorance by revealing to me this story of Srimad Bhagavata. before him, then vow should be gladly taken by the chief listener for his own spiritual good, and it should be truly observed by him at all events to the best of his ability for a full week. 5 Brahmanas should be engaged as priests for averting the interruption in the exposition. They should mutter prayers to Srihari by repeating the 12-syllabled mantra, Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bowing to the Brahmanas and other votaries of Lord Vishnu, as well as to those engaged in chanting the names and praises of Srihari and duly worshipping them, he should himself occupy his seat when permitted by them. He who, giving up the thought of the world, riches and other possessions, houses and children, focus his mind on the exposition alone with a guileless heart, secures the highest reward. Starting the exposition from sunrise, the highly intelligent exponent should properly expound the story of Srimad Bhagavata in a moderate tone for 3 praharas and a half, that is 10 hours and a half. At midday, pause should be made in the exposition for about an hour. During that interval, the votaries of Lord Vishnu should, as a matter of fact, take the chanting of the Lord's names and glories in consonance with the theme of exposition for that day. For controlling the urge for the evacuation of one's bowels and bladder, a light diet is a matter of fact conducive to happiness. One who seeks to hear an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata should take his meal once a day, and take only such food as fit to be offered as an oblation to the sacred fire. He should hear the exposition abstaining from food for full 1 week, provided he has stamina to do it, or he can do so with ease living on ghee or milk alone, or he may live on fruits and vegetables, etc., or even on one species of cereals alone with vegetable, etc. In order to be able to listen to the exposition, one should take such a vow and can be easily observed. I should certainly prefer taking a meal if it would enable one to listen to an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata. A fast, on the other hand, is not commended if it stands in the way of hearing the exposition. So here the procedure is related to us. And the procedure says that fasting is not necessary, but a light diet consisting of 1 cereal and choices are given here, which can be followed, which will have the better effect on the reader as well as the listener. Here, O Narada, the rules of conduct that should be followed by those who have taken a vow to hear. So these are the rules that are declared by the Kumaras. Srimad Bhagavata in a course of a week. Those who have not been duly initiated into the worship of Lord Vishnu or received from a qualified guru a mantra sacred to him are not eligible for hearing Srimad Bhagavata. A man who has taken a vow to hear an exposition of Srimad Bhagavata should constantly during the period observe continence, sleep on the floor or on a plank of bed, but in no case on a bedstead, and take his meals on leaves joined together or a single leaf if it is big enough. At the end of the exposition, one who has taken the aforesaid vow should always avoid pulses, honey, oil and heavy food, as well as such edibles as are vitiated by impure associations, example, fruit with blood, red peel, or kernel such as cherry or ripe tomato, or one with a fleshy kernel such as the jackfruit, and cooked food which has been kept overnight. These things is to be avoided. A man who has taken the aforesaid vow should eschew anger, arrogance, pride, jealousy, and greed too, as well as hypocrisy, infatuation, hatred, concupiscence and who has taken the aforesaid vow should abstain from revealing the Vedas. The votaries of Lord Vishnu and Brahmanas, one's elders or preceptor, those who are vowed to the service of the cow, as well as the womankind, the king and exalted souls. He who has taken this vow should not speak to a woman in menstruation, a member of the lowest class, a mlecha, that is a beef-eater, an apostate, a member of twice-born classes who has not been invested with the sacred thread, though grown to a mature age, a Brahman hater, and those who are outside the pale of Vedic religion. Similarly, he who is vowed to hearing the Srimad Bhagavata should observe truthfulness, purity, compassion, silence, straightforwardness, modesty, and likewise practice liberal-mindedness. A pauper, one suffering from consumption, any ailing man, a wretched man of sinful deeds, one who is issueless and a seeker of liberation should hear this story of Srimad Bhagavata in 7 days. It should be heard with zeal by a woman who has prematurely ceased to menstruate or who has borne only one child and ceased to conceive further, or by one who is barren, also by whose children have died, as well as by woman who miscarries. If it is heard with due ceremony by those enumerated here, the hearing bids fair to yield them fruit which is absolutely free from decay. This superb and divine story of Srimad Bhagavata is capable of conferring the fruit of tens of millions of sacrificial performances. Having thus observed the rules of conduct prescribed for this vow, the listener should then perform the rite concluding the vow. By those seeking the special fruit of this rite should be performed just on the lines of the rite of concluding the fast on the Janmashtami day, the 8th of the dark half of the lunar month of Bhadrapada, the birth anniversary of Lord Krishna. In the case, however, of devotees claiming nothing as their own, it is not ordinarily imperative that the formality of concluding this vow should be gone through. They are hallowed by the very process of hearing disinterested votaries as they are of Lord Vishnu. When these 7 days sacrificial session is over, worship should presently be offered by the listeners to the book of Srimad Bhagavata as well as the expositor with great devotion. Remnants of food, basil leaves, and wreaths of flower offered to the deity should forthwith be distributed to the listeners, and the chanting of Lord's name and glories, sweetened by the sounding of wooden tom-toms and the striking of cymbals, should then be resorted to. The listener should make the audience utter with him sounds of triumph and words of greetings and raise blasts of conch. And the money as well as the food should be dealt out to the Brahmanas and mendicants. If the chief listener is a man who has renounced the world, the Gita should be read the following day. If, however, if he is a householder, in that case the oblations should be poured into the sacred fire by the way of expiation for any sin, voluntarily or involuntarily, committed in course of the act of hearing. With the utterance of each verse of Book 10 of Srimad Bhagavata, rice boiled in milk with sugar, honey and ghee and mixed with sesame seeds and food grains, barley, etc., should be consigned to the fire. Or as an alternative, the chief listener should perform the Havana with a concentrated mind along with the muttering of the holy Gayatri. Srimad Bhagavata being in essence the same as Gayatri. In the event of this being capable of performing the Havana, a wise man should give away materials fit to be consigned to the sacred fire in order to achieve its fruit. In order to make amends for the various shortcomings, as well as for neutralizing the faults of deficiencies and excess, he should read the Vishnu Sahasranama. The 1,000 names of the Lord Vishnu catalogued in Mahabharata, Padma Purana and other sacred books. Through that very performance, bids fair to become fruitful in much. There is nothing more efficacious than that. He should then feed 12 brahmanas with sweets and rice boiled in milk with sugar and give away gold and a cow for the completion of this sacred vow. Having got prepared a seat of gold wearing 3 tolas, if his means allow it, he should install on the book of Srimad Bhagavata written in beautiful letters. Duly worshipping the book by invoking in it the presence of the deity, ensouling it, and through other forms of worship, including a gift of money, the wise listener should present it to the expositor of restrained mind when he has been worshipped by offering, wearing apparel, ornaments, sandal paste, etc. By doing so, he will be rid of shackles of birth and death. On the procedure of hearing Srimad Bhagavata, which purges one of all sins, being thus completed, the blessed and the glorious Bhagavat Purana yields the desired fruit and proves to be the means of securing religious merit, self-gratification, worldly positions and liberation. There is no doubt about it. The Kumaras went on. In this way, everything has been pointed out to you. What more do you wish to hear? Through the glorious Bhagavata alone, both enjoyment and liberation are brought within one's palm. Suta then resumed. Having spoken thus, the aforesaid exalted souls, that is, Shanaka and his 3 brothers, expounded with due ceremony in presence of all living beings, who listened with restrained mind for 7 days the sacred story of Srimad Bhagavata, which absolves one of all sins and bestows enjoyment and liberation. Then they extolled Lord Vishnu. At the end of it, jnana and vairagya and bhakti felt highly invigorated and attained exuberant youth, which ravished the mind of all living beings. On his ambition having been realized, Narada too felt gratified. The hairs stood on their body all over, and he was overwhelmed with supreme joy. Having thus heard the exposition of Srimad Bhagavata, Narada, the beloved of the Lord, spoke to them with joined palms in a voice choked with emotion. Blessed am I that I have been favored by you, compassion being foremost in your heart. This day has been attained by me, Lord Srihari, who takes away all sins. I account the hearing of Srimad Bhagavata as the best of all righteous courses. O sages rich in ascesis, for though the hearing of it is attained, Sri Krishna who dwells in Vaikuntha. While Narada, the foremost of the votaries of Lord Vishnu, was speaking in this strain, there actually came wandering about at that moment Sri Shuka, a master of yoga. Presently there appeared on the scene at the end of the exposition, slowly and fondly reciting Srimad Bhagavata, Sri Shuka, the son of Vedavyasa, the moon that occasions a rise in the ocean of spiritual wisdom, who is sated with self-realization and looks like a youth of 16 summers. Those present in the assembly rose at once with reverence to behold Sri Shuka and offered him an exalted seat. Narada worshipped him with love, and Sri Shuka, when comfortably seated, spoke as follows. Sri Shuka said, O you devotees possessing a taste for divine joy, Srimad Bhagavata is the fruit of the wish-yielding tree of Veda, dropped on earth from the mount of the parrot-like sage Shuka, and is full of nectar of supreme bliss. It is unmixed sweetness. Go on drinking this divine nectar again and again till your body consciousness ceases. In this glorious Bhagavata, produced by Vedavyasa, has been taught that supreme religion, which is entirely free from all self-deception. It is in this has been expounded the absolute reality, which can be known only by saints who are free from malice. nay, which is the bestower of bliss and uproots the threefold agony, the agony caused by bodily temper, that which is attributable to natural agencies, and that inflicted by a fellow being. While it is doubtful that God can be speedily captured in one's heart by other means, he can be instantly seized through this work by those blessed persons who have a keen desire to hear it recited. The glorious Bhagavata is the ornament of the Puranas and the wealth of the Vaishnavas. It stands celebrated as the supreme reality, which is all consciousness, free from impurity, and which is the goal of Paramhamsas alone. In this Purana, withdrawal from activity coupled with spiritual enlightenment, dispassion and devotion has been expounded. A man devoutly listening to it, carefully reading it, and giving to pondering it bids fair to get liberated. This nectar in the shape of story of Srimad Bhagavata does not exist in paradise, in Satyaloka, in Kailasha, and even in Vaikuntha. Therefore, quaff it, highly fortunate ones, never cease taking it. Shuta then went on. While the glorious Shuka was speaking, Sri Hari appeared in midst of the assembly, accompanied by Prahlada, Bali, Uddhava, Arjun and others. Narad worshipped him as well as the aforesaid mentioned devotees. Beholding Sri Hari, who now perched on a high seat cheerfully, they presently commenced chanting the divine names and praises before him. Lord Shiva, accompanied by goddess Parvati and Brahma, arrived on the scene to witness the kirtana. Prahlad held the wooden cymbals because of his agility, while Uddhava held the brass ones. Narada played upon his lute. Arjun, who was the master of tunes, kept up the vocal melody. Indra, the lord of the paradise and ruler of the gods, sounded a wooden tom-tom. The aforesaid Kumaras, that is Shanaka and his three brothers, raised shouts of glory in a melodious voice at intervals in the chorus, where Sri Shuka, the son of Vyasa, stood foremost, giving expression to emotions by means of charming compositions. In the center of the assembly danced like actors the very trio of Bhakti and others, the other two being Jnana and Vairagya, who were full of great splendor. Sri Hari too, pleased to witness the transcendental kirtana, and presently spoke as follows. I feel gratified at this moment through the exposition of Srimad Bhagavata and the kirtana. Ask a boon of your choice of me, who have been won by your devotion. Greatly rejoiced to hear these words of the Lord, they submitted to Sri Hari as follows, their heart moistened with emotion. Our ambition is that in all future sacrificial sessions consisting of a 7 days exposition of Srimad Bhagavata, you must be present with all these devotees of yours. This should be scrupulously fulfilled by you. And saying, be it so, Sri Hari disappeared. Thereupon, Narada bowed in the direction of the feet of the Lord and his companions, as well as to Sri Shuka and the other ascetics. All those who had drunk of the nectar in the shape of the exposition of Srimad Bhagavata had their delusion dispelled, and extremely delighted forthwith dispersed. The celebrated Bhakti, along with her two sons, Jnana and Vairagya, was then installed by Sri Shuka in Srimad Bhagavata, the scripture associated with his name as well. Hence, as a result of the Vaishnavas resorting to Srimad Bhagavata, Sri Hari actually occupies their heart. Srimad Bhagavata, they say, loudly proclaims its efficacy to deliver those tormented by the fever of agony caused by poverty, those trampled upon by the devilness of Maya, and those hurled into the ocean of transmigration. Shanoka then said, when was Srimad Bhagavata expounded by Sri Shuka for the sake of the king Parikshit? When again was it expounded by Gokarna, and again by Shanaka and the three brothers for the sake of Narada? Resolve this doubt of mine as a matter of fact. Sutta continued. Sri Shuta started his exposition of Srimad Bhagavata on the 9th of the month of Bhadrapada, after 30 years of the Kali age, commencing from the departure of Sri Krishna, had rolled away. After Parikshit's hearing of Srimad Bhagavata, when 200 more years of Kali age has elapsed, Gokarna, who was born as a cow, commenced his exposition of Srimad Bhagavata on the 9th of the bright half of Ashara, roughly corresponding to the June of the English calendar. When 30 more years of Kali Yuga had elapsed since then, the Brahma's son, Shanaka, and his 3 brothers commenced the exposition of Srimad Bhagavata on the 9th of the bright fortnight of Kartika, roughly corresponding to the month of October of the English calendar. I have thus told you as aforesaid what I have asked you, O sinless Shanaka. The exposition of Srimad Bhagavata in the age of Kali puts an end to the disease of metempsychosis. Drink with reverence, O pious souls, the nectar-like story which is so dear to Sri Krishna and wipes out all sins, which is the only means to the attainment of liberation in this world and promotes bhakti. What will be gained as a matter of fact by associating with worthy men and visiting places of pilgrimages? Beholding even with his own servant, noose in hand, Yama, it is said, whispers close to his ear, leave alone those who are enraptured over the Lord's stories. I am the ruler of other men, but not of the Vaishnavas. O man, whose mind is agitated through the attachment to the poison-like pleasures of sense, drink the peerless nectar in the form of Srimad Bhagavata, the story narrated by Sri Shuka, for your spiritual good, for a half of a second in this unsubstantial world. Why wandering for nothing? O friends, on the wrong path resonant with Vaisya's talks, Emperor Parikshit stands as a witness to corroborate this statement that mukti follows in the wake of Srimad Bhagavata entering the very ears. He bids fair to attain lordship over Vaikuntha, to become one with the Lord of Vaikuntha, to whose voice gets joined the story narrated by Sri Shuka, immersed in stream of ecstatic joy. In this way has been imparted by me to you just now a most exoteric truth, the very substance of all conclusions. After ransacking a pile of sacred books, there is nothing purer than Srimad Bhagavata. Therefore, quaff for the enjoyment of supreme bliss the nectar embodied in the 12 skandhas of Srimad Bhagavata. He who hears Srimad Bhagavata in a regular way with devotion and who expounds it before a pure-hearted votary of Lord Vishnu, both attain the true reward of hearing or expounding Srimad Bhagavata because of their duly observing the procedure laid down for it. There is nothing which cannot be achieved by them. Thus ends the 6th discourse entitled The Procedure of Hearing and Exposition of Srimad Bhagavata, forming the part of the glory of Srimad Bhagavata comprised in the Uttarakhanda of the glorious Padma Purana. Here we come to the end of the Srimad Bhagavat Mahatmya. Tomorrow I will read out the book 1 from the Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana. We will start the book 1 and the discourse 1 will start from tomorrow. So that's all for today. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let us all be blessed by the blessings of Lord Vishnu. Thank you.